What is up, everyone? TCT here again, and welcome back to the It's Showtime podcast, hosted by me, TCT, now brought to you on Spotify. Guys, I finally made it to Spotify, so go on over to Spotify, type in It's Showtime podcast by TCT. You have to type that into the search bar, and you should see my TCT 92 graphics logo come up. And the newer episodes will now be on Spotify. So I'll leave a link in the description below. Get on over to Spotify and listen. That way you don't have to come to YouTube anymore and check the video. You can just listen while you're at work. You can listen doing anything you want to do. It's only 30 minutes a week. So get on over there and listen on Spotify. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Now, today, there is a big topic I kind of want to talk about. It was brought up this week to me, and then I'm like, you know what? I could do a whole podcast based on this this film franchise that I wanted to talk about. Recently, they released the theme music for the new Halloween Kills. Now, there's a lot of things I could get into about Halloween. I just want you guys to know, personally, it's my favorite horror movie franchise. And people are going to be like, you don't like Nightmare on Elm Street? I love Nightmare on Elm Street. Do I like all the movies? No. I do not like all the movies. Why? Freddy gets a little too kiddish. He's not scary anymore. Well, Michael doesn't get scary. I'm going to get into that in a minute. Okay. You don't like Friday the 13th? I love Friday the 13th. Why is it not your favorite franchise then? Jason's bad at... Yeah. Jason is. Watch any of the movies. There's only like maybe 2 or 3 movies where the movie's actually good. And that Jason doesn't have any say in how good it is. Like, if you watch all the movies, the acting's horrible. The characters are horrible. And well, you go to watch Jason. You don't go to watch the movie. I'm like, my point exactly. I said, the movie has to be good, too, for me to like it. Like, as much as I like Halloween. Halloween was a well-rounded film done with a $700,000 budget. And it was a box office success. And then they made number 2. Number 2 wasn't as big a success, but it was a great success. Number 3, they tried to branch out, get rid of Michael Myers, and do their whole little Shamrock thing, and... right now, that movie's got a cult following like I have never seen. Like, when I was a kid, people hated that movie, right? Well, today they don't. Today they actually love that movie. And personally, it's not a bad film. It's not a bad film. It's just not something I like, you know? I mean, it's not one of my favorites, but I do enjoy watching it when I see it. You know, I think the whole jingle for the mask and the Shamrock mask and all that, I just wish it had a better ending because I kind of wanted to see if he stopped him. I kind of want to see if the guy stopped him. I don't think he did. I think they all died. That's just what I'm going to go with. Halloween 4 and 5, Return of Michael Myers and Revenge of Michael Myers. For those of you who are like, well, those movies are horrible. No, they're not. They've got some weird aspects to them. I don't really know how to say it. Yeah, it's kind of a feel of you can tell it's a movie. You know, it's not as scary as the first couple, but the reason to watch those movies isn't for the other characters. It's for Danielle Harris. Oh my God! Not to mention Donald Pleasance is still in them, even though he starts to get really annoying in number 5. You know, with the way he treats Jamie Lloyd. But Danielle Harris, the scream queen of today, she's one of them anyway. I mean, come on. That girl stole the show as Jamie Lloyd in those movies. Not to mention, she's also in 2 of the future movies, and I'll get to them in a minute. Then you have Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, in which we find out where all his evil comes from. Not one of my favorites. Not a bad movie, but not a great movie either. It's kind of middle of the road horror. And there's a lot of things in it that just cheapen it for me. Now, Michael still looks menacing in the movie, but I mean, I just personally, I don't like that one as much. I feel a little let down after the end of 5 leading into 6. I'm like, oh man, Like, that's where they went with it, and which is okay, but it's not like, it's not challenging. It's like they took the easy way out just to draw fans into the box office and to get money. I was like, yeah. But today, that movie, as bad as it was received when I was a kid, when it come out, people liked it, but they didn't love it. Today, people are loving on the movie, and I'm like, why? Like, I guess the new generation is starting to like to watch older movies, and they're like, huh, these are great. I'm like, yeah, because you're getting a bunch of crap horror movies nowadays. If not for Mike Flanagan, then where would you be horror-wise? Like, I mean, people like him, and, you know, there's a couple great horror films that come out today. A few of them. Not a lot anymore. But here's the problem with horror today. They release too many of them. And they don't release enough of them in the theater, in which people are like, well, why don't they release them in the theater? Are you really going to go see a horror movie? 9 out of 10 people are going to be like, no, I don't want to spend $14 on that. You know, and not unless I know it's going to be a great horror movie. You might go see a sequel to something. You know, like when they do the Quiet Place sequel, you might go see that. I went and saw A Quiet Place in the movie theaters, and let me tell you, the first hour or so is great. Then they start to show the monster, and it just falls flat for me. Once they started showing the monster, it quit being like The Village. Because I loved The Village until I found out M. Night Shyamalan didn't get me with that twist. He didn't get me with that twist. And I'm not going to ruin it for anybody when I tell you what they are, but, you know, because I know there's some people that haven't seen The Village. It's a great movie, though. Like, Joaquin Phoenix and Bryce Dallas Howard do an excellent job in that movie. It's a great movie. But, yeah. Wasn't impressed with the plot twist at the end of that. But it's still a phenomenal movie. Besides the point, I don't know, man. I mean, horror movies today just don't grab me anymore. There's a few decent ones that are like scary enough where they actually will make me jump. The first Conjuring was really good. It actually did scare me a little bit in the theater. The Descent, I remember seeing The Descent when I was in middle school or going into high school when it came out. I went and saw that in the theater. Gave me such claustrophobia. I'm one of those guys like, look, you're not going to catch me going underground in one of them caverns unless it's safe. Like, you know what I mean? Like go to a museum caverns. I'm like, yeah, I can do that because I know it's structurally sound. Otherwise, they wouldn't be having tours of people down here. But you will not catch me rock diving or cave diving. Hell no. That's just not going to happen. Not with me anyway. But, all right. Let's get into the to the other Halloween movies. You got H2O, which brings Jamie Lee Curtis back, which personally I think that movie's okay. It just didn't have as much Michael in it as I wanted. You know, it was more about her, which is fine. It's fine. I'm not going to complain about it. I didn't like Michael's design in the movie. That was the only thing that threw me off. Everything else was great. Everything else was a great moment in that movie. I love the end. I wish they would have ended the franchise there. That was their shot. For those of you who have not seen the end of H2O, I'm not going to spoil it for you. But those of you who have, you know what I'm talking about. That was a great shot to end the franchise, and they just couldn't pull the trigger. Then you get Resurrection, and man, personally, that movie gets way too much hate. It gets way too much hate because of the actors. Michael is amazing in that movie. The actors are not. I was like, putting Busta Rhymes in that movie, I don't know, man. They got it. That's what's going on with modern day horror movies nowadays. They're doing things like that, and it's aggravating people. I mean, it's really aggravating people. It's aggravating people to the point so much that they don't even want to go see a horror movie anymore, and that's saying something. It really is. Personally, I like what they did with the whole video camera setup thing. I think that was pretty interesting, especially for that time. Today, it wouldn't be, as big. They kind of rehashed that with, like, the new Blair Witch. in which personally I was super excited to see a new Blair Witch, because I love the original, even though the original is not like the most fantastic film ever. It was different. It was original. Like, it was done very well on a budget. The new Blair Witch, like the last 30 minutes is probably the best part, because they literally just redo the first Blair Witch movie. And I'm like, man, y'all couldn't come up with nothing else. But the last 30 minutes is awesome in that movie. Wow. Like, but I don't think it saves it. It's one of those final 30 minutes where it's like, oh man, maybe that saved the movie. Not really. You still got to get through an hour and 10 minutes of, what are you doing? Like that. Yeah, I don't like that. And I'll sit there and watch the last 30 minutes all day. I just won't watch the first hour and 10 minutes. But Halloween Resurrection, like, I really enjoyed the fact that they went inside of his house and they locked him in as part of, like, you know, like a reality show, game shows. I don't know what it was. Like, they were trying to get viewers and ratings, and it was an interesting idea. And, you know, it was kind of genius. It's like, well, how do we bring him back without any of the main characters? The reason why people, I think, really, really, really hate that movie is because they, and this is a spoiler alert if you've not seen it. If you haven't seen it, I mean, hey, it's been almost 20 years. You should have seen it by now. Actually, it has been 20 years. It's been 2002. So it's, 19, 20 years. I was 10 when it came out, by the way. And I was excited to see it. I loved horror movies since I was like 7. So first horror movie I watched was Halloween. It was beautiful. Like, it was so good. But, when they killed Jamie Lee Curtis in like the first 10 minutes of the movie, everybody's like, oh. She at least should have broke out. Like, in my opinion, the movie would have went off great if they would have had her break out and then come to try to stop him while he's killing the teenagers in the house with the cameras. And then he gets her towards the end, and then the new girl kills him. You know, that would have been a little bit more of a payoff than just killing her in the first 10 minutes. But Jamie Lee Curtis, I think, just didn't want to do the movies anymore, in which today, like, with her doing them today, I'm like, really? Like, you made such a big fuss about not wanting to do any more of them, and now you're doing more of them. Like, oh wow! And we're gonna get into those ones in a minute. But my God, let's talk about Rob Zombie. Now, I was a freshman in high school when that movie came out, 2007. Freshman in high school. People hate those movies. And there's only one reason to hate those movies, because I've seen them multiple times. Now, the second one's not my favorite, okay? The second one was kind of meh, you know, but you got to admit, Rob Zombie is creative, okay? Like, he's got some imagery that will blow your mind, all right? I knew who was going to play Michael Myers from when they announced it. It was Tyler Mane, who played Sabretooth in the first X-Men movie. That's why he's so giant. That's a huge guy. He's like a guy like Viking DNA in him or something. I don't know. So I'm like, okay, that seems all right. And then I found out, well, the first half hour, 40 minutes is going to be them focusing on him as a kid. Personally, I enjoyed that. I know why people are upset. They're like, it's not as scary because it doesn't really show the evil taking over. It kind of does. That people just don't like that they humanize him with a mother, like with his mother and, you know, his sister. His sister was really mean, by the way. For those of you who don't know who played his sister in the beginning of the movie, that is little Jenny from Forrest Gump. That is Hannah Hill or Hannah Hall. I can't remember her last name. It's one of those names. But look her up. That's the little girl that played Jenny, the little Jenny in Forrest Gump. And man, does he brutalize her. But, my mom, see, they still wouldn't let me into the theater. That, you know, I tried to sneak in and they caught me. And my mom's like, I guess I'll go in with you and sit through it. She actually laughed through most of it. That's her way of getting through a horror movie, is just smiling and laughing at certain things. But she's like, oh my God, this movie is nuts. Like, what did you come to watch? I'm like, I come to watch Michael Myers. not Rob Zombie. I was like, and she's like, well, you're seeing Rob Zombie. I'm like, I know I'm seeing Rob Zombie, and I enjoy Rob Zombie. Like Devil's Rejects, House of a Thousand Corpses, great films, man. Like, I mean, come on. You don't like those movies, you have no taste in any kind of articular culture. But my thing is, I was impressed by how well they rehashed the Laurie Strode stuff with Scout Taylor. Scout Taylor was phenomenal in that movie. I mean, she really was. Danielle Harris makes a comeback, as I was saying before when I was talking about Halloween 4 and 5. I don't know what Rob Zombie was thinking doing that. Is she casted for the role? I was surprised when I saw her. I had no idea she was actually going to be in the movie. I was like, I knew there was going to be an Annie. I knew there was going to be a Linda, because there are in the original. But when I saw Annie, I'm like, why does she look familiar? And my mom looks at me and she goes, isn't that the little girl from number 4 and number 5? Because she had seen all of them too. Because I was at home and she seen the little girl getting chased. I'm like, that looks like her. And then I pulled out my cell phone real quick while I was in the movie theater, and I looked up the girl's name and it said Danielle Harris. I'm like, okay, well, we'll find out at the end in the end credits, because I didn't really recognize her face that much, because her hair was different. Like, she was older, so her hair was different. Everything was different about her. And it said Danielle Harris. I'm like, then I told her mom, I was like, it is her. That's a good catch. So she played in 2 of them. 2 of Rob Zombie's, and she's been in 4 Halloween movies, just as much as Donald Pleasance and Jamie Lee Curtis, which is pretty good, but I enjoyed the first one. Now the second one, not so much. I didn't enjoy it so much. I didn't like him walking around like a hermit with a beard, and it was a little weird. I went and saw that in the theater too. Zombie had some great, I went to see his imagery because I love his imagery. It's kind of death metal, twisted metal type imagery. And a picture's worth 1,000 words, but to me, he didn't have no light in that movie. Like, I'm not talking about like mood wise. I'm talking about actual light. Like when he was shooting, I could tell he wasn't using any kind of light, and you couldn't see anything that was going on. And it was really hard in the movie theater to pick that up because I was squinting my eyes and I didn't appreciate that. I was like, come on, Rob. Like, you guys have all this money the studio is giving you to do this massive budget. And I think he personally didn't want to do a second one. That's just my opinion. But I don't know. I have no idea if he did want to do a second one or not. But to me, a second one wasn't needed. The way the first one ended was amazing. Like, I love the fact that, and this is a spoiler alert, I love the fact that she blew his brains out at the end of it. And then it went to credits. I was like, wow. That was the first time you'd ever seen a Halloween movie in that way, with her blasting Michael's brains out. And then she's screaming, covered in blood, and I'm like, yeah, perfect. You don't need to do another one. And then they do another one. I'm like, I seen the trailer and I'm like, okay, it looks pretty good. Let's go see it. And then it fell flat. And the first 30 minutes are great, though. It takes you back to the original Halloween 2. And he wasn't trying to do that, from what I heard on his commentary. When he did his commentary for it, he wasn't actually trying to do that. He was just trying to, Michael's not dead. He's chasing her in the hospital, yada yada. But it wasn't needed. Like, to me, I don't ever watch the second one anymore. I watched the first one. The first one stands alone to me, just like the original Halloween movie. It stands alone. It should stand alone. It was really good. I enjoyed it. Like I said, people rank it at the bottom of their lists simply because they don't like the fact that they spend so much time humanizing Michael Myers, and they don't really humanize. He's humanized as a little kid. But they're like, well, we like the Michael that doesn't talk. I'm like, well, you kind of get that when he starts putting his masks on. So, like, Zombie did a great job showing the evil taking him over, and I think the kid that played him did a fantastic job. He looked menacing, like, even with his long hair and his eyes. He was really good. Zombie's wife was great playing his mother too. That's Sharon Moon. People don't know who that is. That's Sharon Moon Zombie. That's Rob Zombie's wife playing Michael Myers' mother. So those movies are okay. Like, if you want to watch some good, they're good movies. And I recently saw it on television. a few days ago, and I rewatched it. I'm like, why do people hate this movie so much? It's not bad at all. Like, it just doesn't have any like shock factor or wow factor. But it's a great slasher. It really is. Now we're gonna get into the what I wanted to talk about, the new ones. I loved Halloween 2018. It wasn't there's definitely room for improvement, but it was a solid B plus. And it's been a long time since I've seen a good slasher. Because I mean, they've done slashers, but they've not done something like that. Man, Nick Castle and his double who played Michael in that movie, really, really, really great job, man. Because that one shot scene that you sort of see it in the trailer, but where you see him walking through the neighborhood just murdering left and right. It's all in one shot scene. That is the best part of the movie, especially with the theme playing in the background. Oh my God. Jamie Lee Curtis, I don't know how she didn't get an Oscar for that role that she did either. Judy Greer was amazing in that movie. I don't know where they're going to go from here. I know he's not dead because they show him getting burned and then they show an empty room. I'm like, yeah, he got out somehow. How did he get out? I don't know. I hope they show it. We saw the first trailer 2 years ago. It was like 30 seconds, and that's all I needed. I don't need to see any other trailer for this movie. I don't want to see a trailer for this movie. I'm going to watch it regardless, and I hope they don't release a trailer. I hope they release just 30-second promos. Like, if they release 30-second promos, then yes, that's phenomenal. I don't need movie trailers to see something like this. I don't. People are going to be like, oh, Travis, I know you love Halloween. The new Halloween trailer's out. I don't care. You know why? I'm going to watch it regardless, so why would I watch the trailer? The only thing I needed to see was them leaving on the back of the truck, like at the end of the movie with the house burning, and then the fire department coming by the truck, and you hear Jamie Lee Curtis scream, let it burn! Let it burn! That's all I needed. That's all I needed. No, I know he's alive, okay? But come on, that's all I needed. So a few days ago, I stumbled across the motion picture soundtrack that they released. Even though the movie hasn't come out yet, they released the main theme. Man, there's so much metal in it. Oh, such a good guitar theme. That's what I want to talk about. That got me super hyped for this movie. It was that theme song for Halloween Kills is kind of maniacal. It's there's a vengeance to it, which means he is going to be angry in this movie. That means expect more kills, expect more blood. I mean, the first one was great. I didn't like the whole thing with the doctor, though. I'm like, come on, you guys. That's a classic modern day horror movie twist that they're trying to, fool everybody with, to screw everybody over, and it's like, it's not going to work. I know what you're doing. I think they were making fun of modern day horror movies because they kind of, when they crushed the dude's head, I was like, oh yes, this is great. But the movie was great, man. Like, I got chills watching that in the theater. I did. I really got goosebumps, and I wish they'd do a new Freddy or Jason like that. I didn't mind the reboot of Nightmare on Elm Street. I understand why people hate it, because they could have just done a completely different. If they'd have done a completely different story, that movie would have been a hit. That guy that played Freddy was awesome. He is a great actor, man. They just didn't give him anything to work with. He stands alone in that movie. The girl that played Nancy, horrible. All the kids in it were horrible, except for Katie Cassidy. She was great in that movie. For those of you who don't know who that is, she played, I think it was Tina. And she's John Cassidy's daughter. She plays on Arrow as Laurel Lance. She great in that movie. Great in that movie. I didn't know that was one of her earlier roles. I saw her in the movie, but I didn't recognize her until Arrow come out. I was like, okay, this is John Cassidy's daughter. Or David Cassidy. I'm sorry, what am I thinking? John Cassidy. David Cassidy's daughter. David Cassidy, not John Cassidy. David Cassidy. I'm thinking of, they got me thinking of Addams Family and John Astin this week, because he was on another podcast I was listening to. I was thinking John Astin. No, David Cassidy, the musician. David Cassidy. People are going to make fun of me for pronouncing John Cassidy. I don't like that. But all right. Yeah, but she was great in that movie. I love the reboot of Friday the 13th. Jared Padalecki was great. So was Danielle Panabaker. They all went on to be major stars. Great Jason as well. Like, people don't like that he's human. I'm like, I love that he's a hunter Jason. Like, he's not really human either. Like, he's deformed, and that's what he is in the first couple. So it kind of made sense for it to happen that way if they rebooted it. What happened to Zombie Jason? I was like, this is a different story. Like, it was done differently. So there's no Zombie Jason. There's this human Jason, and yes, he can die. Like, so and I'm glad they haven't done a new one. But then again, I really want a new one. I like, they're like, well, they rehashed those characters too much. Like, you shouldn't want too much out of those characters. I'm like, I don't ever want them to stop making Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, or Jason Voorhees. I don't ever want them to stop. I want them to continue to do it and do it differently. I will go see every one of them. I'm not joking. Like, those are icons. Those are horror movie icons, or slasher icons. Like, when they did Freddy vs. Jason, me and my stepdad were there night one. We knew it was going to be a horrible script, but we knew the fight was going to be great, and we loved it. We loved the fight. Like, that movie is as fake as can be. You can tell they were using a lot of puppets and you could easily tell that. Like, especially when she cuts dude's head off at the end. I'm not gonna say who for those who haven't seen it, because I get so much hate for that. But you could tell that it was a dummy head. I was like, but it's so funny, and that was the charm about it. You weren't going there to watch a realistic movie. You were going there to watch two monsters, two slashers duke it out. And just like when Jason would slash someone's chest, the blood would go psst, psst. Come on, that doesn't get better than just like blood sprays. Like, it's just psst. You don't see that often. You see the psst, 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 psst. One of the dude's heads pops off and the blood psst. Just, come on, blood wouldn't do that, but it's cool imagery. So it was fun. It was a fun time. That movie theater was packed, by the way, for that night. So, yeah, I can't wait for Halloween Kills. I wanted to talk about that, okay? I really wanted to talk about that. That music got me hyped for it. And if you don't know what music it is, I'm going to leave a link in the description below. I'll leave a couple links because there's multiple soundtracks they released. They released the main theme, and then they released the chase theme, which is like, it's the metal theme that I heard, and I was like, wow, this is really good. I'll leave those in the description below on YouTube. And for those of you listening on Spotify, head on over to TCT92 Graphics on YouTube. Hit the like button and subscribe so you can get all my content that I come out with. I'm trying a couple different things. It's really hard to do things in the pandemic because you can't really go anywhere. But, yeah, that's why I'm doing the podcast. Like, maybe when everything calms back down and reopens back up, I probably won't do as many podcasts. But I'll start doing, more and more vlogs, like when I go places. Like, I might do a vlog when I go to the beach this summer. I'd love to do that. Just record some things and put them on my drive. And then, yeah, we'll see where it goes. That's it. So thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, favorite, Spotify. Get on over to YouTube, like, subscribe, favorite. And as always, this is TCT signing off. Can't wait for Halloween Kills, everybody. We should have got it last year. We're getting it this year. I will be going to see it in the movie theaters. I don't care if it comes out on stream. I will be going to see that in the movie theaters. Those are my favorites. So I'm definitely going to see that in the movie theaters. So like, subscribe, favorite. As always, this is TCT signing off. Have a great day, everybody. I will talk to you again next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.